Yeah. Um,
Did you hit record?
oh yeah, no, we're recording, and
All right.
for everyone who ends up watching this, I'm Eric Green from Tax Prep Network. I am joined by the Dawn Brolin, um, CPA, CFE, and what we're going to talk about today, Dawn, is how people work with their accountants, and what prompted this. You and I have been talking a lot about relationship pricing, right?
Yep.
We can get into kind of how you made that work, but and the big problem, I think, now, if you're for the all the accountants listening to this, the way relationship pricing works, if your client understands the relationship they're supposed to have with you, and unfortunately, due to the commoditizing of the tax preparation business by those large national chains, people assume, well, let's take my stuff tax season, give it to someone, they do the return. That's not how, if you're in business, that's not how you work with your accountant. All right. So, for instance, especially if you're in business, we get monthly reports. You should be meeting with your accountant at least twice a year, mid-year and year end for the owners, for the accountants. You should be meeting with your clients and reviewing where they are. The reason being is, as an accountant, the tax return is one thing, you bring specialized knowledge. And so the only way to help the business owner is if they have that. If they show up in March to get their return done, it's a post-mortem at that point.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, you could put money in an IRA, but I mean, the truth is, there's not much you can do for them. Um, the problem we have, correct me if I'm wrong, clients don't want to pay for it. They view it as, well, the accountant, it's overhead, right? It's an expense. So I think everyone, what we'd love to hear about, how did you get, and first of all, define what relationship pricing is, and then how did you get your clients to buy into this?
Yeah. So relationship pricing is the same as subscription pricing. I happen to call it relationship pricing because I feel like I want to build this relationship that has value with the client. Being on a subscription, I feel that naming is more of a commodity in a way too, because you think about Netflix and these subscriptions that you subscribe to, you don't have a relationship with Netflix, you just use their platform. So
Yep.
I like to say relationship because I feel that that is so important for the business clients to be working with me throughout the year and work on things that, that they don't now hesitate to call you. So they have an issue or they have a question, should they buy something? And I've had clients where when we approached our clients and told them how we want to move to this model, it was a business model shift for us. There are many reasons behind that. But we said, listen, we want to work with you through the year. And one of the clients said to me, yeah, you know what? That would be actually really good because I was wondering last September if I should buy, or October, if I should buy a new vehicle and save money on taxes. And I just never called you, not just because I didn't think about it, because there wasn't a relationship there. It was just like you said, just I'm just preparing a tax return. What's the big deal? So when we wanted to shift to that, some clients were actually doing their books all year round. Some of them do their own books and they're good at it. Or they have an outsourced bookkeeping company that does it and they're good at it. And we require the clients, like, listen, if you're doing your own books and you're terrible at it, we're taking over and you're going to pay for that. Because really, this relationship that you're building, I've learned so much about my clients since we switched to relationship pricing, in that I know what their goals are. I know if they want to grow their business, if they want to just sustain their business. I know what their estimated tax payments are. I know when they're getting paid. When it comes to tax return preparation, that's just an afterthought. That's just right. That's just, we have to do that. Where historically, because it's the way we always do it, it would just be like, okay, we service people, we put out fires constantly. Oh, this one needs a reasonable comp analysis. We weren't even doing those back then.
Yep.
And so we weren't even, I mean, we were doing entity selection on moving someone from a Schedule C or a partnership to an S corporation on a guess. Well, it looks like we could probably save them some money. If they're making 150, we pay them 75. That's reasonable. And then we calculate the employment taxes they're saving. but it was not real calculated and it was never discussed because here's the big thing. I made assumptions that the business clients wouldn't want to pay for it. And there are many of them who don't want to pay for it. Those are not in my ideal client profile. Those people who don't want to do it right, who don't want to build a relationship with me, then it's okay. It doesn't mean that I don't like you. It doesn't mean that you don't like me. It's just that my business model, I want to be in control of the relationship. I want to tell the, and this is if you're a business owner, like you should be, like you said, Eric, you should be talking to your accountant. This shouldn't be a March project where all of a sudden you're like, okay, can you save me on taxes? No, because that ship has sailed.
Right.
It's too late. So, and you're right, at least like a July or August, let's take a look at where you're at. And then at like an October, November, what should we do for planning? All right, well, let's pay every supply house that you possibly can by the end of the year. Those types of things. So it's changed everything, to be honest with you, because we are in control of the relationship, because we know what needs to be done. The client, if you're a business owner out there, it's not your fault that you don't know, but it would be your fault if you didn't make a choice to build a relationship with an accountant and you just fly by the seat of your pants. There's no, that's not a success plan. A successful plan is going to be working with people and surrounding yourself with people who are smarter than you. That's what I don't hire dumber people so I can be in charge. I hire smarter people so that I can be successful. So if you don't have an in-house accountant, you should find an accountant who wants to build a relationship with you, who returns your phone calls, who emails you back when you email them, those types of things. Really important.
Yeah, and well, and what prompted this is, I have another podcast, the Success Tax Podcast, which is really for entrepreneurs. And I was talking with my co-host, Tony Carter, and I said, this is really a topic for entrepreneurs starting a business. You need the relationship with an accountant. You need to get your arms around your numbers. And the first thing he said is they don't want to pay for it. And I get that, but it's a huge mistake. So if you're a CPA, EA, if you're a tax preparer listening to this is where the fun is. So now you see, so I would do these talks and I would do the talk about, we're going to convert them to an S corp. We can save the money. We're going to start a profit sharing plan. We're going to take the savings, put it into a profit sharing plan. Uh, if you are a licensed financial professional as well, you can make money on that plan. You now have the S corp client. You're meeting with them a couple times a year. You're doing this. To me, is the strategy. This is the fun. If there is fun in tax, it's this.
Yeah.
It's not doing returns. And accountants would literally say, I wish my clients would do that. I wish my clients would pay for that. I wish. And when we were talking about this, you said you're on this relationship pricing. They just pay monthly.
Yep.
And this way, one, they don't have to worry about, am I going to get billed for this call? It's all built in. For you, first of all, consistent cash flow makes your life easier. You don't have to run around trying to bill people, collect the money before you do the return. It's all just built in. But the other thing is you can now focus on those clients that not that you couldn't, but you didn't want to, because they didn't want to pay.
Right. Well,
Um,
and Eric, I love that you say that because it's so true where they're like you're going to send me an invoice, you're going to send me an invoice. The cash flow consistency is a game changer. It's a absolute game changer. And for the client, it's like when they send something over, and this is one of the things when you move into relationship pricing, you don't need to list out all the things you're going to do for that client. Like that's what people they get so hung up on those details, and business owners don't get hung up on, well, these are the 7 things they said they would do for me for that monthly fee. No, that's not the point. The point is, here's at least the basics. These are things you can count on. Tax return prep, planning, pass-through entity tax planning, oversight of your books or doing your books, reasonable comp analysis, all these things. We're going to definitely do this stuff for you. But we know other things are going to come up, conversations that we need to have about various things, questions you may have. Hey, we jump on a call, we jump on a Zoom. We're actually involved in what's happening, and we're working with such a smaller amount. I was doing 60 business tax returns, big deal. Now we're working with 25 businesses that we work with all the time. We're in touch with them constantly, um, and they love that. And it's not every call that comes into Powerful Accounting we're going to take you
yep.
because this is how we do it. It's a minimum of 750 a month. If you're not big, for us, that's just where we are, ideal client profile. If you're just getting started, you might, like I tell people right from the beginning, if you are price shopping, I am not cheap.
Yep.
So if you're price shopping, I'm happy to send you somewhere else, but this is so I get that right out in the beginning. That's how we lead. We lead the conversation now with this is how we work. This is how we operate. If that doesn't work within the scope of what you're looking for, then we're not your firm. And
Yep.
we're okay with turning people away.
Right. No, it's what's interesting is for the taxpayers who may be listening to this, or if you're the accountant thinking, well, what is the taxpayer? If they get it, and I do want, because you had some interesting conversations where people like, that makes perfect sense. A lot of stress goes away for them. They don't have to worry about, am I getting billed for that, whatever. If I have an issue, I can now talk to Dawn before I make the decision. Now I feel better that I'm making smarter decisions. So there's another example for the people listening. If you came to our firm for your estate planning, we would like your accountant at the meeting and we would like your financial advisor. Everybody on the team. This is why there's been this growth of family offices, because wealthy families realize I want a team dedicated to me, my stuff, looking at everything and keeping everything compartmentalized is not helping me. It's not helping them. Everyone's now flying in the blind.
Right.
But if everyone's on the same page, people around the table might be able to say, if I say, oh, an irrevocable life insurance trust, that sounds great. The financial advisor and the accountant are like, whoa, 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 whoa. There's cash value. You don't want to go locking that, it's important to have everyone on the team on the same page. And if you're listening, going, "Oh, I don't know if I want to pay," I'm just telling you. Now, listen, when you first open your doors, you might have to do hourly, right? Because cash flow is an issue. You don't need the accountant there because, first of all, honestly, you're not doing a whole heck of a lot.
Right.
So, but as things get going, it is to your benefit. It's to the accountant's benefit, but it's also to your benefit to be in a situation where you can get answers to your questions when you need them, not after the fact. What is the fallout from this? That's not good.
Right.
And so here, I mean, just to pick green and squares, we're having meetings with our outside CPA firm, the controller, the partners, as those last 60 days of the year, but also midway, where are we? Where are we with hours, collections, receivables, all that stuff? Because we need to make decisions and you don't want to be making them blind.
I love to just, one of the things I think is important to point out too, because just because you mentioned collections and you're obviously, it's a different, being an attorney is a whole different world, right? So then being an accountant really is. In that, for our firm, the way we've shifted, and this has only been going on for a year and a month now, where we shifted where we don't invoice at all. We literally don't invoice people. With the only exception is I have a supplemental needs trust that I have to do their periodic accounting. I get that to the court, I have to wait for court approval. Only example. So the rest of the clients that we work with, if you're a business owner, you're in relationship pricing. If you're a tax client, you prepay for your tax return. So we don't start any work whatsoever unless you have paid for it. And I think that it's just like and that's where it is like a subscription, Eric. You pay on the first of the month, let's just say the first of the month, to Netflix. You're prepaying for that month's worth of work. And so that is what is very similar. And this is what I also tell people about relationship pricing. It's like a subscription like Netflix. You prepay, you sign up, it's just a monthly fee. You watch as many movies as you want, you call me as many times as you want, which people get freaked out. Clients aren't going to call you every day. Everyone's like, well, what if they abuse it? I'm like, I haven't had it. Haven't had it.
Listen,
And
we have almost 400 tax rep members, and it's very similar. They're always surprised. Like, I can contact you. Yes. What's the limit? There is none.
there isn't a limit.
And people are like, really? Well, what about the people that abuse? Listen, I have some people that are a little more active, that are busier. I get probably more frequent questions. There are some days I've gotten 8 emails. So you go to the help desk and I get an email. It's Dawn Brolin, Eric got this collection issue. What do you think? Blah, blah, blah. Sometimes I just message back, let's get on a Zoom. It's easier for me to explain it than try to type it to you. 99% it's an email, and then there'll be 3 days. I get nothing.
Right.
No one has a question. I've yet to have, I mean, listen, I've had a few folks um get very kind of hung up on things, so we're going back and forth a lot because it's a complicated issue. I've not seen the abuse issue. I mean, how many people are, how do you abuse your accountant? How many accounting questions could you possibly have? Right? So yeah, no, I get that. I've yet to have anyone tell me, who you've worked with, who have moved to this. And by the way, if you're listening to this, Dawn actually consults with accounting. You actually consult with firms on how to implement automation and move to a subscription model.
Yep.
Um, in fact, it's funny, you hung on for 2 years. You didn't want to do this when you
Yep.
got
You
the
were like,
advice.
and Eric's like, come on, Brolin. Somebody's got to get these people over the finish
It
line.
wasn't even me. It was one of our, we won't name him, but one of the other big national speakers who's been on people to make this shift. And a lot of people like, sounds great. I'm not doing it. I'm too nervous to. So, but on that note, how did you, I mean, did you just pick like your top five clients and call them? I mean, how did you broach this with them?
Yeah, so basically I sat down and I tried to, it took me about 6 months to start to implement. It started, and we started talking about it in April of 22, I think it was. And then by the fall of 22, I was ready to go. I had my pricing kind of nailed down. I knew the key was for us, we did reverse engineering, which I think was really, really beneficial because people are like, well, how do you do it? So I just took I sat down with my staff. I looked at my expenses. I said, okay, I need to do 300, I think it was 300,000 a year for all of us to be happy with what we were getting paid. Everything was cool. And we said, all right, well, let's print our client list, a client summary for what they've paid us, an income summary. And we took the top to the bottom and we went through. And of course, the business owners were at the top because I don't have high profile individual tax returns. So the highest revenue obviously was from business owners that we've been billing for out by the hour typically and all the rest of it. And we said, okay, let's take the top five and we started with okay, not the top five necessarily in revenue, but the top five clients that we really like to work with. Like these are good people. I think we can really help them. Like they're always kind to us. They're not nasty in any way. And we went through and just highlighted the top five. And we said, all right, we're gonna do it. And we picked the first one. I'll never forget it. I remember like it was yesterday going in their office as a heating and plumbing, heating, cooling, and piping business. And we went and we said, fellas, we're changing our business model. We are moving to a monthly subscription instead of billing you by the tax return and billing you by the hour for doing your bookkeeping. And then every time you call us, we're billing you. I'm sick of doing that. I want to steady my cash flow. I was just honest and open with them. I have a goal for our firm and we want you to be part of our process. We want to work with you. And we want to keep working with you. And this is the capacity we don't want to work with you in. And we listed out, okay, listen, you're an S corporation. We need to be doing reasonable comp analysis. That's something you don't have to worry about paying for because it's included. Do your tax returns, your personal tax returns, tax planning. We're doing your books, consulting with you on whatever else you may need outside of that. Well, can meet on a regular basis. You can call anytime you want. You will get immediate response. Immediate response. And they were like, let's do it. This sounds great. And so, in that first year, so we ended up with about 18 clients that first year that were into it, like we're good, and we met our goal, what we needed to make. So anything like tax returns that were not in the with for those people were all gravy. And that first year, I still billed after the return was done. But then in 24, I started where I'm like, nope, prepayment for tax returns, and by the end of January, I had 100 grand sitting in my bank account.
Yep. No, and that's why we're both big fans of Ignition, automating that process. I'm going to be doing a whole series. We're both going to be doing a whole series in terms of like why we love Ignition. But what it does is, for those of you listening, Ignition, it's a software program. It's not terribly expensive. Um, I think the pro account's like 199 bucks a month. You get like 15 licenses. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not expensive. You automate your engagement letters, and we get everything signed and paid upfront. You
Okay.
should not be doing a tax return this tax season if you haven't been paid. And the big hangup is, well, what if I do an extra schedule? That's fine. I can live with that. First of all, you can just do it quickly in Ignition, send it out, and get paid for it immediately. But if you're really that busy that you can't do that, why not get 90% of your money upfront? So on April 15th, 90% of the money is in the door. If you have to send for $200 for an extra Schedule E or whatever, okay, that can be your May project. But if people tell me again that in November they're trying to get their bills done for the stuff that they did, no, 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 no,
No,
no.
it's just not a best practice. That's the key. Like, and I think again, it's this mentality of the way we've always done it. And I think that for me, it's like, and that's the way I always thought about it. But I got to a point, I think this is critical, especially for those of you who are listening, to think about where are the true frustrations in your practice? Like, what are you frustrated about? I was frustrated about invoicing and waiting to get paid, knowing I had to pay my staff on Fridays. We paid now on Wednesdays. But I was just constantly worried about the money. Now, because I have people on a subscription, the second of every month, the money is in my bank account for my payroll for the whole month. I don't think about worrying about pay. I transfer that money into my payroll account at the beginning of the month. And then any other money that comes in the rest of the month pays the bills, technology and all those types of things. But I have like a savings account. I follow the Profit First program, which I think is awesome. But that money just goes and sits there, and I invest that money, and it just sits there all year. And then by the end of the year, then I pay myself a bonus or whatever. But I don't think about the money anymore. And that is life changing in your practice. If you're somebody who's struggling with money and you're not, I just wouldn't admit it. I wouldn't admit, well, I knew it was probably took 10 years off my life, but I finally realized that I didn't have to live that way. I call it the fight and the challenge to get paid, right? Like calling people and sending it. That's just that. By the way, Eric, from a relationship perspective, you know this. You never want to bring money into a relationship if at all possible. So why are we doing that? Let's eliminate the money from the conversation. Like being upfront about it, being honest about it, and saying, yeah, you know what, it would be really nice for me not to freak out about payroll every week or whatever the case may be. Or maybe you're somebody, a practitioner out there who's just getting by. Wouldn't it be nice to not just get by, but to actually crank and have money when you see somebody who is struggling? We have, and I'm not bragging about this. I'm just saying I had a friend of mine who's going through some really tough financial times, and but a few of us got together, and the kid played like summer league softball, or baseball. They have the travel leagues and everything. And we said they were really struggling, but the kid really wanted to play baseball. He didn't have $1,200 to pay for the kid to play that summer. And I was like, you guys, let's get this kid, let's go pay for this. That's not because I'm bragging because I want to take care of, like, I want to help people. But if I can't help myself, I can't help other people.
Right.
And so, and it's just being honest about it and then doing something about it. And this is the biggest part, Eric, and this is about getting people over the finish line. You gotta understand and face in the mirror and look at yourself and have a conversation. Yep, it might be weird. You know what? I'm willing to take the chance to tell all my clients they have to prepay me for taxes, that they'll all go away. That is it is a false fear that enters your brain. They are not all going to go away. My approach was, hey, listen, you guys, I'm going to ask you to prepay this year. Um, because I'm changing my business model and the way I don't want to chase money. I want money out of the way. I hope it puts some skin in the game for you so you get me your stuff faster. So it makes a priority to you because you've already paid me. I hope you harass me. My goal is the minute you get that thing in, within 24 hours, we have your return completed because we will work with less clients, and I'm okay with that. I was just very upfront about it, and I think people appreciate that.
Yep.
So, but you have to sit with yourself and be willing to take a chance and be willing to battle that false fear that's in your brain that my clients aren't going to do that. And that's not just with prepaying of taxes, Eric. It's the same thing with your technology stack. My
Yep.
clients will never use Lisio. They'll never do the organizer that way. False. It's false, false, false. And I think that once you can get over that, it's a home run, Eric.
Yeah, and across the board. So a couple things. First of all, the whole subscription thing, it levels out your cash flow. You don't have to worry about that anymore. And also you're getting paid appropriately. But it allows you to also work with the client the way you're supposed to work with them. So if you're sitting there listening, like, how do I tell them I need more money? Well, first of all, you don't go to them and say, I need more money. What you're going to say is, look, we need the way that I work with my best clients. This is how I do this. We meet a number of times a year. You call me when you have an issue. We can't do this with this billing hourly thing. We've moved to a subscription model. I'd love to keep working with you. Here's what it looks like. And now I want you to know I'm here. You don't have to worry about picking up the phone or emailing me, that you're going to get a bill. It's all built in, whatever. That is going to go over well with your clients. You now get to work with them on the strategy, on all the planning, the fun things, and you even out your cash flow and you will make more money doing less work.
And imagine, Eric, because you're working with less people, you'll have a lot less extensions. I don't know about everybody else in the world, but I don't like to do tax returns 12 months a year. I want to do tax returns from the end of January until April 15th, understanding that there's some K1s and all that. Your business, you will have less business extensions because you're working with them through the year. Now you're just plugging in the tax return, but you already know everything that happened. So when people dispose of assets, things like that, we can go in, make those journal entries, get those. Was there a gain? Was there a loss on the sale of that asset? How about telling them that before they sell it?
Right.
I'm going to trade in this truck, Brolin. I'm going to get 20 grand for it. What's the implications? Do I have a gain there? Well, you fully depreciated it. You're getting 20 grand. You capital gain 20 grand. So, but they don't think if you're not talking to them about that stuff, they're not thinking about it. And like throughout the year, imagine they buy a new truck. You know about it. Number one. Number two, okay, get me the paperwork so I'm prepared. Now I got to factor that in because that doesn't hit a P&L, folks. That hits a balance sheet. Everybody's always looking at the P&L. The balance sheet's critical. So it just changes everything, the way you approach everything. And it has a positive effect on the other end when it comes to getting tax returns done because you already know what's going on.
And how many hours do you save not doing all that billing at the
Oh,
in the summer?
Eric, the billing, the remembering to invoice, the main that all of that stuff. Tracy would do like a reconciliation of who has and hasn't paid every year. She'd do it in like August. Like, bro, and you didn't bill these 7 people. Now I look like an idiot because now I got to okay, can you call them and let them know we forgot to bill them for their tax return from 6 months ago? And now all of a sudden we just now they may not have the money. Now it's, you know what, I got to go on a payment plan because I don't have that money anymore. I budgeted for it when I got my refund. But you never billed me, so I spent the refund.
Right.
Like
And now you have to finance them like you're a bank.
like I'm a bank. Not doing that. So it's all about your mindset, changing the way you're doing things. And I would say also to business owners that might be listening that are not working with their accountant this way, you probably want to give them a call and say, hey, I listened to this, recording about how I should be working with you. And, I would like to be able to call you more. Give them that chance, give them the opportunity, because that accountant may be the one making assumptions. It's not because they're a bad accountant either. It's that they're making assumptions about you, you're making assumptions about them. Let's just clear the air and say, hey, I want a better relationship with you. I want to be able to call you when I want. Can we start a new process? So you have, as the business owner, you could take that control as well.
Right. No. So for anyone listening, if you want to get in touch with Dawn, I'll put your email in the description below. They can, accountants can reach out to you. No, it really, in terms of the issue of working, how clients should work with their accountants, this is all just part of it. So it's the relationship and the relationship pricing. And if you're listening, what I hope you take away from this is it's a win-win-win. It's a win for the clients. It's a win for you. Um, Everything goes smoother. You get control over your life again. And you are not you're not, I think, you don't want to be a retail shop. If you do, you can go work for one of the big chains. The reality is you've got these skills. One, you should get paid for them, but two, again, I think as much, even if you enjoy doing returns, the strategy, the planning, all of that stuff that clients don't want to pay for, that they need, you can now do all of that as part of this relationship. So I would think it just makes it more fun.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. Agreed.
So, listen, Dawn, thanks for taking the time to do this. Everyone, thanks for checking this out, and we'll do more. I mean, we get like 25 other topics to do,
Oh
but
yeah, at
yeah,
least.
right. And if you are watching this on our YouTube channel, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel. We keep growing, keep spreading the word, and otherwise, everyone have a great day. Dawn, thanks.
You bet. Anytime, Eric. Take care.